And welcome everybody to another Nothing Like a Good Book. And boy, have I got a good one in this. I want to read a little bit to you from it to start with. In the shimmering haze of a clear midwinter evening, Howard could plainly make out his target, the broad dome of the U.S. Capitol building, less than half a mile away. Just beyond that lay the limestone edifices of the Everett Dirksen Senate Office and the Sam Rayburn House Office buildings. He checked his watch. It was 4:22 p.m. In less than 3 hours, the government of the United States would be no more. Opening a small paper bag, he casually began munching on a sandwich that Jackie had prepared for him earlier. His infernal machine, the Juggernaut, was in position. It's early America, early in the 21st century. Well, in this Nothing Like a Good Book, the novel is Codename Juggernaut. It's a political thriller, if you didn't pick that up, set sometime in the early 21st century. And the novel taps powerfully into headline issues of political unrest, racism, and antisemitism. It centers around a far-right wing plot to wipe out the U.S. government with plutonium fashioned into an atomic bomb. But, and a big but, an FBI agent unravels elements of the plot and races against time to foil it. I don't know about you folks, but I love a good thriller. I'd like to welcome author Sherman Ross. Hi, Sherman.
Hello.
You know,
that sounds excellent. I think I'd want to buy that book.
Listen, my friend, a little bit about you firstly. I always like to do this. You've lived in Germany as well as numerous locations around the USA, attended undergraduate and graduate universities in Colorado and Texas, respectfully receiving a baccalaureate in history and biology, as well as a master's in biochemistry. And you were employed as a biochemist in both academia and the pharmaceutical industry. So this is your first novel, Codename Juggernaut, and but you have authored or co-authored numerous publications in scientific research journals. So your background is there. There's no doubt about it for this thriller with what we go into in the book and how you're going to, or this particular person is going to blow up the U.S. government. What compelled you to write this book, Sherman?
Well, previously it seemed that terrorism arising from the Middle East, hijackings, bombings, kidnappings, and so on, were constant fare on the news. I originally started researching this codename Juggernaut back in the mid-1990s, seeing the disturbing rise of political division in this country.
Mm-hmm.
In writing this book, I wanted not only to create a thriller, was hopefully entertaining, but also would delve into the mindset of political extremism in this country. From the Oklahoma City bombing in 1995 to more recent terrorist plots, the reality of homegrown terrorism is undeniable.
Right.
I first got the idea for the novel when domestic terrorism is becoming increasingly prevalent.
Yeah.
I decided it represented a relatively untapped and fertile area for literary development.
Yeah.
The manuscript also went through a number of iterations over the last several years.
Mm-hmm.
And with little else to do during the pandemic, I threw myself into further refinement.
Okay, so in describing the book for us in your own words, you've basically shared all the things that concern you and a lot of other people going on in the U.S. at the moment. I visited a friend, as a matter of fact, a couple of years ago in Oklahoma City. I went and saw the museum of that bombing, and it was pretty graphic. So all of these things put together with your experience in biochemistry and everything else gives you the impetus really to be able to say, well, look, if I wrote a book, I'd be able to explain this correctly, technically correctly, and a few other things. Are there any scenes or chapters that were particularly difficult or meaningful to write?
Well, the first ones were somewhat difficult because, I'm setting the stage. I'm establishing the characters and the overall situation. And as you indicated before, that this does delve into racism, anti-Semitism, and other Another things which are sadly very much in the news today.
Yep, racism, anti-Semitism. I gather it took an awful lot of research for you to be able to write this book.
That and just reading the headlines.
How do you mean?
Well, you see this stuff all the time. You see various groups, like in Charlottesville, with the people marching and carrying on, and just the general unrest that's been going on for the last 5 years.
So, all right. So all of that then, you're saying, is what motivated you to choose this genre, or your style of writing anyway?
Well, yeah, it's going all the way back to the mid-1990s when you could see the rise of the various anti-government militia groups.
Do you think there's many of them still in the USA?
Unfortunately, yes.
How many would there be, do you think?
Oh, probably hundreds of them.
And what are they waiting to do?
The Southern Poverty Law Center says there's hundreds of these groups running around.
Hundreds, huh? Hundreds. Yeah, things are sort of shaping up a little bit that way, aren't they? With Mr. 47 in power at the moment, I think all his buddies would be these guys, and all those that got released out of prison as well. And, yeah, but I don't think he could take on a whole army, do you? Anyway, I don't know. It's well, what you're really doing with this book is bringing it to the fore. A lot of people don't know this stuff. You know that, Sherman. A lot of people live in a dream world. They don't know what's going on. So this book, in a lot of ways, Howard Brennan, he's a brilliant but deranged ex-USAF colonel and a nuclear engineer. He seized with rage over having been publicly cashiered from the service. And after clashes with superiors over policy. So he's adrift, he's embittered, nothing seems to matter to him anymore except obtaining vengeance against the federal government, which had destroyed his once promising career. So he's devised the perfect means to achieve that vengeance. This is the book, ladies and gentlemen, The Juggernaut. All right, well, Codename Juggernaut is the correct title. So, Jacqueline Lynch, alias the Jackal, is a seductive, highly skilled, ruthless assassin, a hit woman from Werewolf, a neo-Nazi terrorist group. And she is in a romantic relationship with Brennan, and he has agreed to assist him, and she's agreed to assist him in the plan. So that's the plot, is to blow up the government. He's got the assistance. He's watching. Okay.
Imagine, if you will, a nuclear device with approximately 2.5 times the destructive power of the Nagasaki bomb, about 50,000 tons of TNT, detonated several blocks from the U.S. Capitol building on the night of the State of the Union speech, where the President, Congress, Supreme Court are all assembled together. And so the State of the Union address occurs tonight.
Right. And
their objective is, after wiping out the government, to foment widespread chaos and unrest.
Yeah, it's pretty threatening. Could this happen, do you believe?
Well, that's the question I want people to think about as they read it.
What's the size of the bomb?
It's approximately 18 inches in diameter, about 80 pounds in weight, and it's hidden in a small truck.
Yeah. You know, on the face of it, when you visualize that, it seems pretty simple to do.
Unfortunately, yes.
And camouflage it. What would it take to make that bomb, chemistry-wise?
Several kilograms of unoxidized plutonium, an initiator consisting of beryllium and polonium, baritol, which is used as an inclusion to convert the detonation of conventional explosives on the periphery from convex to concave, because you want to collapse the plutonium into what's called a critical mass. And at the same time, the initiator provides neutrons, which would trigger the chain reaction.
Is this stuff easy to get a hold of, the ingredients?
No, it's not.
Thank God for that.
But you can read the book and you see how these terrorists do get a hold of it.
Yeah, it's in the book. It is in the books.
I won't give that away because nobody will want to buy it.
What makes this project different from similar works in this genre?
One of the striking differences in Codename Juggernaut is the central theme of the novel, that the bad guys are domestic threats who rise among us rather than being foreign-born terrorists. The national threat comes from within.
Right.
These terrorists are our fellow Americans, people who might be your co-worker or next-door neighbor, rather than some troglodyte living in a cave somewhere in Afghanistan.
Right.
And I've woven some not-so-subtle references to events that are very much in the news today.
How did you come up with your book's cover? It's quite graphical.
The cover was my own design, although I had it professionally prepared. It consists of a nighttime photo of the U.S. Capitol dome framed in the crosshairs of a telescopic sight. I intended the image to be raw, hard-hitting, and directed to the point. It follows the old adage that one picture is worth 1,000 words. Since the Capitol is the iconic representation of the U.S. government, upon seeing the cover, the reader realizes at once that the book involves some kind of plot against our government.
Right.
Did I send you a copy of the cover along with the arc?
I've got that,
Okay.
and it'll be going up on my site, on markbishopmedia.com, under Nothing Like a Good Book. And, of course, it'll be, once this interview's done and post-produced, it'll be sent out and distributed on all sorts of platforms around the place. And are you hoping for a lot of sales on this thing?
Oh, absolutely.
And where's it going to be able to go to? Obviously, Amazon's one, probably. Where are the others?
Yes, it's on Amazon. It's on Barnes & Noble. It's available as an ebook on Kobo.com.
Mm-hmm.
And I can direct you to purchase information on my website, Sherman Ross, all one word, .com.
Right. Yes, that'll be listed as well. ShermanERoss.com, where you can buy it directly. Let me ask you, who is your target audience, do you think, Sherman, with this book?
Well, domestic terror has long been a source of tension in the U.S., and fiction often serves as a mirror to these real-world dangers. In Codename Juggernaut, I've crafted what I hope is a gripping political thriller centered around the threat of nuclear terrorism. It's set in the near future and is targeted for adult readers who love intense thrillers. It's written to appeal to a reader who enjoys technology without being too tech-heavy in a fast-paced setting. For example, to give the layperson the explanation of the workings of an atomic bomb, as I described to you earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And the book is gritty. I've warned people about that. I sent you an advanced reader's copy, so you'll agree that there's graphic violence and strong language, and it's not for children.
Okay. And yet...
I consider it a raw, hard-hitting story whose cliffhanger chapter ending should appeal to lovers of action and edge-of-the-chair excitement. I'm glad you read that excerpt. It kind of...
opens it up a little bit.
Yeah. The
Well-
plot twists keep the reader guessing and eager for more. But don't take my word for it. Listen to what some critical editorial reviewers have written.
Right. Well, here's
Diane Woodman of bestsellersworld.com wrote, and I quote, Codename Juggernaut is jam-packed with action, conflict, tension, and suspense. Ross grabs readers' attention from the start and keeps them engrossed all the way to the end, unquote. A reader at Literary Titan wrote, and I quote, Codename Juggernaut is a captivating, suspense-filled read from start to finish. Moments of sickening horror and triumphant justice are combined expertly in Sherman's thrilling fiction. Gave me an unforgettable experience.
Wow.
While a critic at Goodreads says, Codename Juggernaut is a gripping tale of intrigue, betrayal, and redemption.
Right, so they're critiques.
Masterfully crafted by Ross.
All right.
The novel's relentless pace that keeps readers on the edge of their seats as the tension rises with each turn of the page.
All right.
Ross skillfully weaves together multiple narrative threads, expertly building suspense as the characters' fates become increasingly intertwined.
Sherman Douglas Rabson is an FBI agent investigating a string of murders attributed to the mysterious Jack L. Step by step, the agent unravels details of the plan, as in a race against time to stop the murderous pair before they carry out the ultimate nightmare. Now fate has drawn Brennan, Lynch and Rabson together, culminating in a bizarre plot bearing the codename Juggernaut. Time is running out. I think this is a thriller, and I think those that love a good thriller, although, close to home as far as Americans doing this type of thing. Did you enjoy writing this book, Sherman?
Well, researching the project.
Developing the characters. I mean, what was the go-to for you in writing this? Was it that you wanted to get a message out more than anything? Or was it just to write a thriller?
Well, a little bit of both. I mean, the message is that, yes, these extremist elements are very much amongst us, and there are people out there who would do this and even worse if they could.
Well, in your spare time, I mean, you're retired now, obviously, but you've pursued a passionate interest as an amateur historian, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so how far do you go back? I mean, there's history in history, right?
Like what are my interests in history?
Yeah. How far do you go back? I mean, what part of history appeals to you mostly?
Oh, American, European military history, going all the way back to antiquity. And
when you did your publications in the scientific journals, what were they about? What was the topics? What were the topics?
I've done research both in academia and in industry, and I got employed as an analytical biochemist, performing research in the fields of small cell lung cancer and protein chemistry. Before I migrated over to the dark side of pharmaceutical industry and performed research in drug development in the areas of
over to the
trying to keep
side.
this in layman's terms: alpha-1 antitrypsin deficiency mediated emphysema, acute respiratory distress syndrome, and most recently hyperkalemia.
A retired biochemist. This is your
I've got something like 36 publications in various scientific journals.
Right. That's a lot. That's a lot. A lot of research. You know your stuff, right? What I worry about is in books like this, mind you, there's stuff on the internet, there's stuff everywhere, but did the thought come into your mind at all when you were writing this, that you're giving ideas for people to do it?
No, because, I mean, I got the idea from reading stuff that various groups have been up to.
And do you have any advice yourself for any aspiring authors?
Not really, because I'm not a professional writer. I mean, I'm just...
This is your first one, right? Your first novel?
Correct.
It'll be in paperback as hardcover as well?
Yes, it's an ebook, hardcover, and paperback. And I'm considering audiobook format as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you this. How do you balance writing with other aspects of your life? Well, let me define that a little for you. You're interested in, reading, obviously, and you probably go for walks and stuff. You are retired, so you've got time. As a matter of interest, how long did it take you to write this book?
Well, like I said, I originally started the project, like I said, in the mid-'90s. And
you've been on it since the mid-'90s?
Off and on.
Right, off and on,
Because,
right.
like I said, most of that time I was working as a chemist.
Right. So the thoughts were there, were starting to percolate, shall we say, in your mind. It was a matter of when you could get to it, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's not easy sometimes just to sit down on the old adage of being able to go away to a cabin and lock yourself in and just write a novel, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and like I mean, I originally self-published this earlier on, and like in refinement, I've learned a lot about the process of writing a novel, hopefully how to develop the characters and move the plot along, and use of dialogue versus narration. And
so you actually you studied all that stuff first?
Well, yes and no. It's been a learning process throughout.
Right. Right. So then you'd believe that writing has a therapeutic value. Was it that way for you?
Oh, yeah, because, I can just sit down and write. In my office and just create.
When you write a novel like this, which is a thriller, all right, you know the ending in your mind, but you're a long way from that when you start. And it must be a feeling of a little bit of impatience, wanting to get to the exciting bits. How do you do that when you're writing?
Well, I outline. You just draw the outline up and you fill it in. So I can be patient and I can just, wait until I get to the good stuff.
So there are specific steps, and there's that much stuff today online about, teaching how to write and this and that. And you've done it all longhand. There's no AI in any of this. So that's expedited writing for a lot of people, but it's not the same. And you type? You write longhand? Do you type first or on the computer?
Yes. Mm-hmm. I originally started, I did the outline of this thing on a spiral notepad.
All right, okay.
And I got to take my head off to people like Tolstoy and Dickens. I said, how did those people come up with the masterpieces that they had without a word processing?
Yeah, exactly. Months, years, a whole bit. It's called Codename Juggernaut. It's a thriller, there's no doubt about it. It's based in America and what can happen. It's, all the wars, you think about it, all the billions of dollars spent, all the deaths on all sides in wars in Vietnam, and Iraq, and Afghanistan. And you take a book like this, and it's all homegrown. And they're the enemy within. And that's what this is about. It's a thriller. I don't want to give away too much, but it does center, What's that, buddy?
Folks who enjoy the action and plot twists and such works as Frederick Forsyth's Day of the Jackal or Fletcher.
Oh, I love Day of the Jackal.
7 Days in May or Thomas Harris' Black Sunday.
Yeah.
Would actually love this book.
Right. Yeah, I love those. I'm that way inclined. And also a lot of Tom Clancy stuff as well. Very good. Well, I hope this gets into the rackets of that and you sell an awful lot. You put a lot of time into it. But more importantly, I could see it as maybe a good gift, might be a nice gift for a birthday present, Christmas time coming up, Hanukkah, whatever. Codename Juggernaut. You would recommend it for, 35 and over?
Young adult, really.
Young
people
adults.
in their 20s and up, but definitely keep it away from the kiddos.
Yeah. All right. Well, as far as we're going to put it all up on the site, where you can buy it and everything else. But it's called Codename Juggernaut. The author is Sherman Ross. It's his very first novel. And for a firstie, it's a darn good one. I got to give you that. And I wish you all the luck in the world with it, my friend. Break a leg, as they say, but you never know. There might be series 2 come out of it, huh?
Well, I learned to never say never.
Never say never. Sherman, lovely speaking with you.
At least one critic said that, is there going to be a sequel to this?
Yeah, I was getting at that. It's a sort of book where you think there'd be a sequel, except, we don't know what happens at the end. And if they're gone, they're gone. But if they're not gone, who knows? But the concept is good.
Well, the sequel in that the FBI agent, there may be some further exploits with this particular character.
Yes. I often wonder how, authors think of sequels, whether they think long-term, whether they visualize, I'm definitely writing the first to make sure that I can follow through with a second or a third. And, it's always on the numbers, isn't it? It always comes back to how the first one went.
Mm-hmm, right. Exactly.
And I guess your publishers told you that as well, huh?
No. I'm self-publishing this.
All right. It's total self-published. All right. Codename Juggernaut. Don't forget the author's name, Sherman Ross. And just tell us one more time, please, Sherman, the various places. Now, obviously, there's your own website where one can go directly to buy the book. And how much are you asking, by the way, for this?
$14.99 for the paperback, $24.99 for the hardcover, $7.99 for the ebook.
All right.
I'm arguing with Ingram Sparks over. I think they want to charge a little more than I would want.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting how all that works out, but it's still doable. ShermanERoss.com, was that correct?
Yes, all one word.
All one word. Sherman, ShermanE, Ross, ROSS.com. Then the others from that Sherman are Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and what was the other two you mentioned?
Kobo and IngramSparks.com.
IngramSparks.com. All the very best in the world.
Check out the website. I think, have you seen my website?
It's all on the site. They're mentioned there anyway, to be able to have a good look. Correct?
Yeah.
All right. Codename Juggernaut, ladies and gentlemen, with Sherman Ross. Great read, a thriller. If you like thrillers, adventure thrillers. Thank you, Sherman. Lovely speaking with you.
Thank you.
All right.
It's been a pleasure talking with you today.